Over the last couple of weeks, I've been talking to a cousin of mine about the struggles that we have been and still are going through. We lived completely different lives. We were raised differently, and yet there was so much overlap. So I started thinking, could you be more likely to develop mental health problems like depression because of your DNA? And would it even matter? Well, yes, and it does. Oh, and if you're wondering what I'm doing right now, don't worry, it's totally gonna pay off later. So right off the bat, there is no scientific proof that depression is hereditary. However, there are a lot of studies that suggest that there is a link. The problem is that depression affects many different genes, which makes it a very complex medical condition. This means it's very difficult to identify one specific genetic anomaly as the leading cause of depression. So you can't just easily conduct experiments on just one gene and see how it works or is passed on through family. Although studies have been done that do suggest there is a high probability that it is genetic, like with twin studies. Seriously, twins are like the best test subjects. Identical twins share 100% of their genes, whereas non-identical twins only share 50%. That means that if genetics do play a part, the identical twin would have a higher risk of developing depression as a non-identical twin. And this is exactly what has been found. These studies showed that there was a heritability of 40 to 50% in identical twins. Using this information and other studies, like looking at the genetic role of depression in adopted children, leads scientists to believe that the relative risk of developing depression as a result of inheritance is 2 to 3 times higher than the norm, which sits at around 10%. This means that if your parent or sibling has depression, you have a 20 to 30% chance of developing depression as well. Okay, so that sucks, especially because the people in my parents' generation and older are more likely to just white knuckle it through life instead of going to therapy or even talking about their feelings. So it's hard to know what mental health problems they might be dealing with and what you may have inherited. On the other hand, just because a direct family member shows signs of depression doesn't mean you will develop it as well. Just like if diabetes runs in your family, it doesn't mean that you are 100% going to develop diabetes too. The 20 to 30% that I mentioned earlier relates only to the chance of being predisposed to developing depression. And that's where the environmental factors come in. Didn't I say that depression was a complex condition? This is going to be a long video. So depression is often described as a stress-related disorder. Actually, can we change the camera angle for this exercise? No, that might be weird. Okay, I guess that's better. But the thing is, stress alone is not enough to cause depression. Most people do not become depressed, even after extremely stressful experiences. But there are people who become depressed even after what most people would consider very mild stressors. When I have my worst depressive episodes, they're usually related to the stress of a bad social interaction, relationship failures, or the constant negative job application responses. And my first memories of feeling depressed was when I was at the end of high school and I started feeling the stress of having to join the workforce. Even extreme and horrible stress like experiencing war, abuse, or other things that I can't talk about on YouTube don't typically induce depression, but rather PTSD, which is a totally different illness. So what's up with that? Well, this is where the predisposition comes in. If you're predisposed through epigenetics, fancy science word, and experience even a mild stressor, that could be the trigger to developing depression. Okay, science portion over. Why am I telling you all this? Because it helped me change my own mindset around depression, and because there's still a stigma attached to it and other mental health issues. And I know that my parents, if they're watching right now, are nervously waiting for me to start blaming them for all my problems, but I'm not. Because that's just it. It's not their fault. And by changing my own mindset, I realized it's not my fault that I'm depressed either. It's just a part of my genetic makeup. Think about some of the well-known hereditary diseases. Asthma, diabetes, MS. Is there any stigma around having those? No. And if you are affected by any of these, do you blame your parents for the part that they played in your affliction? Probably not. I hope not. You deal with it like you would any other disease. You go to the doctor and you get help. Be it an inhaler, insulin, or in depression's case, whoops. Fuck. Seriously, why am I doing a workout routine while doing the video? Oh, gotta keep that retention, baby. Anyway, depression. You deal with it like you would any other illness. You go to the doctor and get help. Be it an inhaler, insulin, or in depression's case, medication and or cognitive therapy. One thing that I know I inherited from my dad is my bad knees. Here it is, the payoff. I don't blame him for giving me bad knees. I honestly never even really thought about it. It's not like he did it on purpose either. I mean, it's just a part of who I am now. I play the cards that I've been dealt, and all that means is that I have to stretch and exercise my knees more than the average person does. And there's no shame in that, especially because I learned how to take care of my knees from my dad, who led by example. He takes the time every morning to exercise his knees so that he can do the things that he wants to. Being athletic is really important to me. So I need to put in this extra work so that I can live the life that I want to. And the same goes with depression. I might have been predisposed to develop depression, or maybe I wasn't. Maybe I just had the average 10% chance. There's no way to know.
But I do know that I want to live a happy life. And that just means I need to put a little extra effort in. And so can you. That means focusing on a healthy diet, getting your omega-3s, B vitamins, vitamin D, which I'm getting finally from the sun here in Finland. It means exercising regularly, getting enough sleep, and prioritizing healthy relationships. Recognizing that it wasn't my fault for being depressed helped me so much. It's just a disease that needs a treatment. And just like you try to heal your sore throat with a warm cup of tea and honey first, but then go to the doctor if it doesn't get better, do the same with your mental health. Try the methods I just described, or the methods that I talk about in my other videos. And if they don't help, please seek professional help. And now I'm going to put you right here for the end card, and I'm going to finish my run. Peace.